What's up, everybody? This is Matt from the future, from the past, from the future, whatever. I'm putting this in before I even start this vlog. I want to let you know that this is going to be the Keys to the Kingdom tour. Also, there are lots of spoilers in here about how shit works and how things go on at Magic Kingdom and Disney World. If you don't want to know this stuff and you want to keep the magic, you know, at a premium to where you don't know how any of this works or what all goes on behind the scenes, skip past this video or vlog, all right? Just putting that warning out there for you right now, because there's going to be a lot of things talked about how things work at Magic Kingdom. Again, not going to have a whole lot of video or photos just because of, you know, I'm going to follow all of the cast members' rules that they want us to abide by and the tour guides. So, but I definitely want to chat about it, because that's what I'm pretty sure they're going to say too, is, you know, talk about it all you want. No photos, no video. So, with that, we're going to get this vlog started. I'll see y'all shortly.
Second deck for Cody Bellinger. Back near the stands. That ball is gone. A game-winning home run. Can you believe it? This is what you came in for. We got the Cubs game on the score.
And now, here's the Hall of Famer, Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer, with all the exciting play-by-play action of Chicago Cubs baseball.
Chicago Cubs baseball is on the air from Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. It is opening day, or more accurately, opening night for 2024. The Chicago Cubs take on the Texas Rangers, the defending world champions. Good evening, everybody, along with former Cub and All-Star Ron Coomer. It's Pat Hughes reporting. We thank you for joining us. Zach Zaidman working alongside. We are playing indoors here at Globe Life Field. The Cubs playing their first game ever in this facility.
Special tonight, you know, watching Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers. You know, they were a team that was really scuffling going into the playoffs. Barely got in. One game before the final game, they got into the playoffs, and they end up winning the World Series. It's our game, and it's something unique, but it's something special, and you know, you just never know. We've seen a pretty nice ceremony here before opening day.
Ian Havron is making his way to the home plate area. We are ready for baseball 2024. We thank you for joining us. Game time temperature of 74, sponsored by Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Your trusted local experts. Four Seasons. Right-hander Nathan Eovaldi's first pitch. Ian Happ pops it up. Shallow left, going out is Seager. Coming in, the left fielder, and Carter, the left fielder, makes the catch. One pitch, one away. Ron, what's the Cubs' offensive plan against right-hander Nathan Eovaldi?
Well, Eovaldi's, you know, he's one of those guys who's got great.
Look, everybody's piled up there. You got all this room right here.
Squad 51, stand by for response.
For now, and then you guys can...
And fingers flat, hold it.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Main Street Fire Rescue. I am back at one of the most popular theme parks in the world. Actually, it is the most popular theme park in the world. It's Magic Kingdom. I am here for a special Easter weekend treat this morning. I finally went and did it as a treat to myself. We are going to see, meaning we, myself and all you watching, are going on the Keys to the Kingdom tour this morning. I just happened to check yesterday before I was leaving work, and oh my gosh, there was a slot at 8:30 this morning. And with the annual pass holder discount, it was not terrible as far as the price wise. Basically, it's less than a day's admission. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go do this. I'm off today. Let's have some fun. Let's do something totally different, and let's see what makes the magic. As a former architect, I really appreciate the Disney parks. You know, I know sometimes I bitch and moan about the parks, but I do have a soft side for them as well. The only reason I complain is because I want them to be good. I know what they can be with the right amount of effort, you know? And so when you see that and you know what it can be, you yearn for it to be back like that again because you know what they're capable of. But anyway, I want to see how the magic happens. From my days that I worked at Universal Studios as a paramedic before we got really busy and I had to go full-time over at the emergency room near Disney World here, I got to see how everything worked at Universal, and that was amazing to see how that worked. So now we get a chance to see what makes the magic here at Magic Kingdom. Now, each one of these Disney parks are different. They all have their own unique features, but this one is specific to Magic Kingdom. So this is a 5-hour tour. I'm not gonna be able to film a lot, I know that, because obviously they wanna keep the magic. That's completely understandable, but I will film in the areas that I can. And then whatever I can't get filmed, we will talk about afterwards. So this might be a little bit long-winded, but I don't care. I think we're gonna have a great time today. It's 8 a.m., I got a half an hour. I gotta go get some coffee'd up. And then, yeah, I think we're meeting at Town Square, or the Mickey's Town Square Theater, somewhere around here on Main Street, next to the Main Street Firehouse. So let's get our asses in gear and get on inside and have a fantastic Friday morning. Main Street Fire Rescue is now in service.
Oh, Mike, I'm sure.
Magic Kingdom, first thing in the morning. This is why it's nice to be here this hour. Hey, there's our home away from home right there. That would be so cool if that was actually a functioning firehouse and they had people that responded to emergencies in the park from there. How cool would that be, huh?
Gonna get some movement today.
That job list would be, man, that would probably be decades long to get hired there. All right, against my better judgment, I don't have a lot of time to go all the way to Tomorrowland for Joffrey, so I'm gonna have to do Starbucks this morning. Not my favorite, but it'll do. If you get any breakfast in the morning, obviously it gets more and more crazy as you go towards the castle. Come over here to this little side street. Okay, there's nobody back here. This is kind of a nice little safe haven back here. This is actually a good place to go and wait out the fireworks too. Also, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to Deborah, who works in the Starbucks there. I know Starbucks isn't always my first choice. Big Joffrey's fan. However, on the house. Thank you very much, Deborah. Very much appreciated. One thing to keep in mind if you're considering this Keys to the Kingdom tour, it is a separate price. So if you're an annual pass holder, then you know you just have your annual pass that you pay every year. If you're a ticket holder, you have to buy a ticket today for Magic Kingdom, then the price of the tour. So that can get a little pricey. But if you're an annual pass holder, it can be a little bit easier to manage. And you also get a 15% discount, which was really nice. But also, if you're an annual pass holder and have certain kinds of tickets, not date-based, but other kinds of tickets, you also have to have a reservation for the day. So make sure that if you're trying to do this on a busy time, which this is right now, that you make a reservation as well, because that would suck to have the ticket for the park or an annual pass, and you bought the ticket for the tour, and then no reservation, and it's crowded, none are available. That, to me, I would think Disney would have to do something about that. That would be awful, but you never know. So plan ahead, plan ahead. Here we are. Let's go get checked in. So this is a menu of lunch that we get complimentary for being on the tour. This is actually going to work out great because it's Good Friday and I'm a Catholic, so definitely need some fish today. It's going to be awesome. This is the name tag. This is the name tag I get to wear. This would be something to keep on, or keep forever. This is going to be cool. And then this is going to be our audio system because it's all going to be narrated. So this will be like a nice little receiver and an earpiece. So they're going to be able to give us all the awesome information here. So this is something This one we don't keep. This one goes back. Name tag we do keep. And I think for lunch we're going to try that Sea Captain's fish sandwich. That looks pretty good. Very excited for this. So there is very, very strict no filming, no photography, which again, perfectly understandable because you want to protect the magic. So, you know, whatever they do allow, I will get. And whatever they don't, we'll talk about it later. And I'll do my best to describe it. So, but this is a 5-hour tour. So this is going to be cool. I mean, utilidors, basically see what brings the magic to all these rides. How the park works in and of itself. I mean, this is good. I can't wait to do this. As the day moves forward, and even during break, like when we have lunch, whenever that is, we'll give you an update as well. I can't wait to bring this to everybody. Dude, it sounds like smoke alarms going off. So this tour is amazing. Like we're on a quick break. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember everywhere we've been, so after we're done, I'm going to kind of retrace the steps and show some of the things. This is incredible. I'm amazed, absolutely amazed. We're going to get back to it. We'll check in a little bit. This is phenomenal.
This fully top before we move forward, before anybody else stands up. All right, my friends.
It is packed today. I think today, tomorrow, Sunday, and next week are going to be a little on the rough side, but it's all good. We've been having a fantastic time on this tour. Just actually a quick lunch. That was actually very good, you know, especially some little beer battered fish in that. Yeah. We're going to get ready to kick in part 2 here shortly, so we'll keep you updated. Once again, once this is done, I'm going to take you on I'm going to kind of retrace the steps a little bit, kind of show you what we saw.
I am your host, your ghost host. Our tour begins here in this gallery. Here where you see paintings of some of our guests as they appeared in their corruptible, mortal state. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. Almost as though you sense a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination? And consider this dismaying observation. This chamber has no windows and no doors. Which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out. Of course, there's always my way. The real chills come later. Now, as they say, look alive, and we'll continue our tour. Not pull down on the safety bar, please. I will hold it for you. And heed this warning. The spirits will materialize only if you remain quietly seated at all times. Oh yes, and no flash pictures, please. My spirits are frightfully sensitive to bright lights. Our library is well stocked with priceless first editions, only ghost stories, quotes, and marble busts of the greatest ghost writers the literary world has ever known.
Back to live action. It's my first time seeing the Hatbox Ghost.
Hot and cold,
Oh, I did it. That's pretty neat. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Time to respond. Send us a message from somewhere beyond. Goblins and ghoulies from last Halloween. Awaken the spirits with your tambourine. Creepies and crawlies, toads and un. Let there be music from regions beyond. Wizards and witches, wherever you
the
dwell.
happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize. They're assembling for you. Swing their
This is my favorite room of the whole. This is my favorite scene of everything.
There you are. And just in time. There's a little matter I forgot to mention. Beware of hitchhiking ghosts. They have selected you to fill our quota, and they'll haunt you until you return.
Ah! That's pretty cool.
Safety bar, and a ghost will follow you home.
Future project. We have to look and find all the Pascals. That's we'll do that in an upcoming one, upcoming vlog.
Yes.
No, he's up there on the window box too. And we were back where it all started and finished. It is almost 2 p.m. Our tour just ended. I have my official keys to the kingdom pin. This came with the tour. This was given to us at lunch. I'm going to hang on to this for forever. This is pretty amazing. I have got a lot to unpack with this. Oh my gosh, I wish I could have filmed everything. Obviously not, because of you have to keep the magic. And yeah, they make sure that everything goes in your pocket when you go down, especially in the utilidors. The utilidors was unreal. It was more than I ever imagined. It's so amazing how a bunch of tunnels can be so impressive, but it really is. This right here is one of the things I wanted to touch on. This is where we started, the Town Square Theater. This building and the rest of these, the big difference is these are all the forced perspective buildings, meaning they built them like the bottom level is full scale. As they go up, the scale shrinks, which gives it forced perspective. Our guide Judith, who was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, said that this Town Square Theater is built on full scale. It's all 1-to-1, the whole thing, because it has to block the Contemporary, which is right over there. Otherwise, you'd walk into Main Street USA and see the Contemporary. I'm going to walk the park a little bit. I'm going to show you a few things that we went over. But one of the cool things was we entered into the utilidors way back by Winnie the Pooh's ride, and we came out right over there. Unbelievable. All of this underneath our feet is all utilidors. And it is a bustling metropolis down. It looks like a small city down there. You got golf carts whizzing around back and forth. You got big intersections. It's unreal. So basically, we started at the theater. We worked our way around by the train station, and then we wound up down this way by the confectionery. And it's awful. It's way too busy today right now to point stuff out, but Judith was talking about all the names on the windows and what they meant. I want to come back and do that on a day where it's not so insane. Yeah, right. It's absolute madness in this park right now. This little street here is called Center Street because it's smack in the middle of Magic Kingdom and Main Street. But I thought, man, so much for the secret hideaway. But what I thought was really cool was where the Emporium was. One of the things she said, this used to be open here. This street went all the way across. And it wasn't until more recently, prior to 2015, but they closed that in and they connected the Emporium. I guess what happened was because both shops, you had to cross the street. There was a lot of pinch points and crowds would get in the way, and it was creating a lot of unnecessary traffic. So they connected the Emporium. And then but left this one, and then she came back here, and there's the one names I will show you. These tied into a lot of the day and the history, but they're basically, I don't know if the sun's at the right angle or not. Man, that's hard to see up now. The way the sun is. They're right up here. If you can see those, all of those names had an impact on the creation of Walt Disney World. I'm amazed. I am absolutely amazed. Elias Disney's name, which is right up here on this window, that's Walt's dad's name. What was even more incredible was we just spent the last hour walking underneath Main Street. That was amazing. And the other thing that Judith pointed out, our guide, was Walt's name is on that window. I'll zoom in a minute, but it faces Cinderella Castle, and it's above the ice cream shop. Apparently, one of Walt's favorite desserts of all time was ice cream, which I can feel Walt on that because I love my ice cream. And I'm gonna have it for the first time in a long time Sunday because I gave it up for Lent. And right there is Walt's name. You know what's crazy is I've been in this park countless times since 2015, and this is the first time I noticed that. So I'm going to show you where we kind of entered the utilidors at, and then I showed you where we came out. But everything that, this is the way it was described, this is the second floor. So they dug out Seven Seas Lagoon to create that, and then they used all that dirt and land to create the utilidors and raise everything up so they could put the theme park on top of the utilidors. It's incredible. And the other thing was, I didn't expect it, but we got to see a little glimpse of Cinderella's suite up in the castle. Oh my goodness. So they have a bunch of artwork that's in the rooms below the castle and the utilidors, and there's all kinds of photos of the Cinderella suite. It's beautiful. Originally it was built for Roy, and Roy's like, I'm not gonna stay in the park. So it was later turned into the suite. These are the subtleties that nobody notices. It's amazing. So must be a statue around here. My thing's going haywire. Look at Crystal Palace up ahead, right? Take a look at it closely. On this side is all designed like it would be on Main Street. As you move this way, oh, there the awnings appear. And it takes on a different look. All of a sudden the balconies and everything out front disappear, and now you have awnings. Oh, there's the transition into Adventureland. I mean, right? That's what I call old school Imagineering. This is what separated Disney World and the Disney parks from the rest. That kind of detailing. And that's what I want them to bring back. That right there. One of the other really cool cross points here was the lamps, the lamp posts. Main Street style of lamp posts right here, right there. But then when you get to this cross section, as you get off the edge of the bridge, they turn to circular lamp posts. They start transitioning here. So they go from the Main Street to the circular lamp posts, and then as you work this way into Liberty Square, now you have the old school lamp posts, like you see back in the old days. And then as you move this way into Adventureland, and there's Adventureland. All of the hanging candles. Okay, we're gonna about face, and I'm gonna get the HE double hockey sticks out of here. This was pointed out too. This was really cool. This giant waterfall fountain feature. This is runs from outside the park. How cool is that? So we went back here. Right where these doors are is where the utilidors begin. This is where we went through. And then we went through these doors and we came out at the entrance to Main Street USA right by the train station. So we went from behind the castle all the way under the park to the train station almost. Pretty incredible. I was gonna try to maybe take a quick spin on the teacups before leaving out. Nah, 45 minutes. I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna work our way out of the park. Wow. The doors you see on the back side of these buildings right here, I believe are also utilidor entryways. Because there were signs down there that it was like these huge road maps that showed you where you could pop up into different areas of the park at. On my way out, I saw this was cool, man. It's like a baseball jersey almost, but it's made of like sweats material, and on the back, that's pretty. I'm a big fan of these things, but one thing I'm not a fan of, $75. Why Disney? Why is that $75? The one tour that I see they used to offer, but it didn't come back post closure and reopening is the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom train tour. Please bring that back, Disney. I want to go on that, where you get to not only obviously take a ride on the train, but it's a full history of the train. They take you back into the roundhouse where it shows you how the engines and all that are kept and maintained. Everything that goes into working the railroad. Please bring that back. I will do that if you bring that back. All right, let's skedaddle. I will say this day flew by. I mean, I got in here at 8 a.m. or no, 7:45, and here we are, 2:30. So more than 6 hours. The tour itself was just a little over 5. See, this is where Disney needs alternative transportation. The monorails are down. On spring break, no less. This is the result of both monorails being down and this being the only way to get to Magic Kingdom on a busy Friday afternoon during a holiday weekend. Fantastic.
Ahoy, mates, and welcome aboard the Richard F. Irvine. We will be arriving at our destination in just a few moments. On our way, we will travel 1 mile across the man-made 7 Seas Lagoon, which took almost 3 years to excavate. We do ask that while on board, the stairs remain clear while the boat is in motion. Once again, welcome aboard.
Yeah, there's a few people. As John Finette would say, it's your vacation.
Kick him till he gets up. Get up, we're going on the Epcot Death March today. It's your vacation. My kidneys are failing and they're not even sweating. I'm looking around going, am I the only one that's fucking hot? Is it me? What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, it's quiet. It's quiet up here with the monorails being down. Yeah, they're all in the station houses. All right, let's talk about Keys to the Kingdom. What a fantastic tour that was. Holy cow. I mean, I could see that tour. Basically, you could take that tour over and over and over and over again. And I asked Judith, our guide, what the possibilities are of getting different things every time you do that tour. And she said it's pretty much based upon your guide. More people lost in the parking lot. These are big parking lots. Yeah, she said that a lot of times they'll, you know, focus on certain things and other guys will go different categories, but it is just, so yeah, anytime you do it, there's a chance that you could be seeing and hearing totally different things than what you did on your tour before. The other thing I would add is, if your only time to come visit here is during an insanely busy time and you want to do the Keys to the Kingdom, obviously do it if, you know, a couple things. One, don't put yourself into debt for it. Don't do that. If you have the extra money, go for it. Two, just know that it's a little harder to maneuver around because of the crowds. Like, there were some things that our guide had a hard time with because we just kept getting mobbed with people. And I also would not do this tour if you're a first timer coming here. You need to have several visits under your wing, or under your belt, however you want to say it, and get to know Disney World and the theme parks as a whole before doing this, because a person that, if this was their first visit, they're not going to have really any idea of what's going on. You gotta, like, really be into the fandom and into the, like, for me, it's all about the architecture and the history, and I love to know how things work. So when you got to see how the attractions worked, that was really cool. I love that kind of stuff. I'm gonna do this tour again. It's something I want to share though too, because This is just incredible. There's a lot to unpack. Also, am I the only one that is of the, I'm Catholic, so, you ever notice on Good Friday, between the hours of noon and like 3, how solemn it gets? Like, I know, even at Disney, even inside the park, there's just like this eerie calm over everything. Anybody else ever feel that? I'm gonna turn the camera around. I know we're in the parking lot. And there's not many people out here, but it just has this eerie calm right now. There's no wind blowing, no nothing. It's about 2:45. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it's right around 3 o'clock when Christ died on the cross. And then as the day goes on, as we get closer to 4 and 5, it seems to brighten up just a little bit, and the day feels a lot more normal. Welcome back again. Keys to the Kingdom tour. Wow, what an incredible experience. I mean, first off, all the credit goes to Judith. She was fantastic. I liked her message at the end, because she had wanted to do that job for a very long time, and anybody that's familiar with the Disney company, it's very hard to get to certain areas that you really want. Like, you have to usually start off doing something you really don't want to do, but then once you get into the company, then you can, it's like the world is your oyster type thing. Then you can start working your way around after, I think it's 6 months. So she started, it was like in merchandising, and then she went over to customer service, and then, because that is not customer service, guest relations, I believe that's what it is, or guest services, somewhere in that. But she was saying that the tour guides for Keys to the Kingdom are under the umbrella of like guest relations, guest services type thing. She's very good at it. You can tell the passion that she has for Disney World and the Disney parks. She basically, interestingly enough, lived not far from where I grew up in Northwest Indiana. So that was pretty wild. She sat at our table during lunch, and we chit-chatted a bit, and because she said when she introduced herself, she was from Indiana and then moved to Florida, in the 70s. And I said, what part of Indiana? She goes, oh, it's up in a little town up near Gary. I'm like, oh, I was born and raised in Merrillville. And she's like, oh yeah. So it's just interesting to talk. And there was another young lady at our table. She was here on business for her work, and basically had a day off and was able to score a Keys to the Kingdom. So, it's interesting to chat with all the people. We had about 20 of us in our group, so just the right size. And it was really neat how we started at Main Street Theater, and we worked our way down onto Main Street. Well, we actually went over to the train station first, then we went down onto Main Street, and then it was a lot of the history of why Main Street is the way it is. What does it all mean? All about forced perspective, which I'm a big fan of forced perspective. I did a vlog on it about a year ago. I'm gonna have to revisit one because I've learned more things through this tour that I'd like to share with everybody. And it's just, as we worked down Main Street, the big history on all the windows. I never realized how much writing is on all the windows and what it all means. It's really amazing. And then from Main Street, we worked our way, over towards Adventureland. And, once we were in Adventureland, we did the Jungle Cruise, which we got a private Jungle Cruise tour with the skipper, basically launched us from the dock and then gave Judith the microphone, and we got to hear about, basically how Jungle Cruise came to be and what the animals are made of. And apparently Walt wanted there to be live animals in there originally, and everybody was like, no, that's not gonna work. But that's also, long story short, that's what birthed the idea to Animal Kingdom, because Walt always wanted a park with live animals, and the more and more they tried it, they're like, Walt, that's not gonna work. These animals are they're not gonna be out when most of the people want to see them. So that's where the animatronics came in and all that. So, but also the difference between, audio animatronic and then just regular, like, robots or animatronics. Because if you notice the animals on Jungle Cruise, their movements are very, as we would call, like, generic. They just, like, the heads might move, or they might move like this. But that's because it requires those are motors doing that, and the more advanced ones require like fluid and everything, which would be insane to maintain with an attraction that's one, outdoors, but also in the water, in and around the water. So there's a big difference in the animatronics, and also why they don't talk when they go into I never realized that. Everybody ever ride the Jungle Cruise? Every time you go into that temple, which is a really cool scene, it's near the end of the ride, you go into the temple, and all of a sudden the skipper turns the lights on and then stops talking, and it's a quiet ride through there. Well, they found out why they get quiet is because there's two very sharp turns in that temple, and it's very hard to see, and so it needs the skipper's undivided attention to keep a lookout to make sure there's not a stopped boat or anything in there, so they don't run into anything. So they don't talk or do anything while they're in that temple. Also, it's dark in there, and they have a light that's on, but it's limited visibility, and so that's why they don't talk. Also, throughout Jungle Cruise are repurposed, they're repurposed props. There's a part of a plane that's out there that they use as part of the jokes, and part of that plane came from the Casablanca scene from the Great Movie Ride. The cobras that are inside of the temple area were from the Indiana Jones segment of the Great Movie Ride. So a lot of Great Movie Ride artifacts are in the Jungle Cruise, which is really neat. Still wish the Great Movie Ride was here, but it's really neat that they repurposed a lot of those decorations, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call them. Also, Schweitzer Falls, the waterfall that goes into the water, she asked, when we went underneath it, she goes, what is this main attraction here that everybody loves on Jungle Cruise? Everybody's like, that's the 8th wonder of the world, it's backside of water. She goes, yes, if we were on a regular tour, but since this is Keys to the Kingdom, this is not the backside of water. This is, the waterfall is what filters the water, but also the chemical that creates the murkiness for the water is in the water as it comes off that waterfall, and that's what it's like. It creates like a silt type of feature, and it makes the water look muddy. That's done on purpose. She's like, otherwise everybody would see everything. The water would be crystal clear. So they purposely muddy the water up, which I thought was fantastic. And then also the newer version of Jungle, that's, believe it or not, the first time I've ridden Jungle Cruise since they updated it. There are a lot of features that they tie into that ride where, the explorers that are run up the telephone pole by the rhinoceros. There's everything in the ride kind of ties into their storylines, which it's interesting. I still miss old school Jungle Cruise and Trader Sam at the end, and then Trader Samta during the Christmas season. But I also like what they did with this Jungle Cruise. There was a lot of concern when they did it, like, oh, they went woke, they virtue signaled and whatnot, and I see where people got that, but it's also not, it's not terrible either. Like, I really enjoy it. They added a lot of really cool things, like there's a giant water explosion now where these apes are shooting guns at the boats, which I thought was cool. There's a couple boats that have been ransacked by the apes running around, and a couple of the boats are like sinking and all that. So I mean, they added some really cool stuff. So we got to do Jungle Cruise, and then from there we walked up around Adventureland. Then that's when we got to go backstage, and I'm gonna tell you, obviously everybody got inspected, and there were they watched continuously to make sure nobody had phones out, make sure nobody had any cameras out, no nothing. I took actually all my stuff apart. I put it in my pockets to make sure, because that's obviously, one, you don't want to get the cast member in any trouble. Two, you don't want to get yourself in any trouble, because she had said the minute we went backstage, she's like, even us, if we are caught with our phones out or trying to take photos of something, if they catch you, it's an immediate firing. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And having been backstage now, I see why they would be like that, because it's amazing how they bring the magic to life. And when you're backstage, it's just wild, because when we walk back there through, when I go back to Magic Kingdom again, probably Easter Sunday, I'll show you where we went through. Obviously I can't walk through there, but I'll show you the area we went. And it was amazing. Once we walked back there, and you turned around, you were like way down like you didn't even realize it, but we were walking down a downgrade, and by the time we were back by where some of the show buildings were, she told us to look back, and like Splash Mountain and that is like way up here. And so that because of how the park is built, you know, everything's built on a second level because of the utilidors and that. It's just amazing. Now the utilidors don't stretch back towards Splash Mountain and Big Thunder because those came later after the park opened. But the fact that they built the park like that on these, it's part of a berm too, where it keeps the noise away. She was saying they'll start practicing for the parades, especially for Halloween and Christmas coming up shortly, and they'll do the full parade feature behind in the back lots of Magic Kingdom, and they'll do it with the full music, everything, full performances, and you won't hear a thing in the park. Just like when we were there, they had the berms, they're done so well that, you know, you had an absolutely full Magic Kingdom. Tons of noise, tons of activity. When we were back there, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet back there. So truly, truly impressive stuff. And also walking back there, we learned that all the waterways are connected, which was wild. And then a lot of the water that is used in the attractions, like Jungle Cruise and I think Pirates even, it's taken from the actual waterways. Now some of it is filtered because the water in the attractions is filtered in such a way that way if you get splashed with it, it doesn't stain your clothes or anything. Because if you, like with Jungle Cruise and that, with that kind of, or no, that's even filtered as well. But like if she was saying that something about how the way they route the water, they use the natural water, but then they also filter it for the attractions. And then it's all tied together. It's amazing. Like the waterfall there that I walked past and going over the Tomorrowland bridge into the Fantasyland Tomorrowland area, that giant waterfall is all part of, that comes from Reedy Creek, which is just like, I'm like, what's this going, oh my gosh. So that's why I'm saying when you take this tour many times, you'll hear one, you pick up on stuff you missed, but also you hear things that you missed the first time. And then when we went backstage, we saw the big giant floats in the water, the electric nighttime show, the water pageant that goes by. Apparently that was only supposed to be a one-nighter when the park first opened in '71. It's still there in 2024, so it was received very well. It almost didn't go off because apparently in a long set of pontoon rafts like that, when they kept trying to test it, they were jackknifing into each other. And then apparently it was a 16 or 17-year-old kid that came up with the idea that said, why don't you put an outboard on the opposite side and that'll help keep it straight. And she was saying basically that, you know, they took that to heart and they tried it, and lo and behold it worked. And she's like, anybody could have taken that kid's advice and been like, that's a 16-year-old kid, what the hell does he know? But it ended up solving a big problem back in that time, because it almost didn't end up going off because they couldn't figure out how to stop the floats from jackknifing into each other. And then there was just the show buildings. You know, I thought was really cool was behind it's still Splash Mountain to me. Behind Splash Mountain, where they're building Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure, they had a giant crate that they were prying open, and inside that crate was a giant showpiece that they had pulled out while we were walking past it. I thought that was kind of neat. That was a showpiece that had come directly from wherever they manufactured it and put it together and painted it. It was a big log, and it had a hole on it. It looked like a hole for an animatronic to come out of. So that was kind of neat to see. And there were all the Imagineers walking around back there behind Splash Mountain. And then we learned that Pirates of the Caribbean, the ramp that you go down, you actually go underneath the railroad tracks. They did that because the show building is built backstage, and they had to figure out how to get it under the railroad or something. It had to do something with, they needed there was only so much room to build that ride anyway, and so the show building had to go outside of the park boundaries, but they had the railroad tracks, and they were trying to figure out how to do this. So they made the drop, they made it go underneath the railroad, and then you went down and into the show building, because again, you're up here when you're in the park, but then when you're, you know, on the backstage, you're down here. You know, you're here in the park, backstage you're down here, and that's where the show building is. So when you're in Pirates and you board in, you're up here, but then you get to that certain point, you come down, and now you're down into the actual show building. It's fascinating. Once we got done with that, then it was over towards Columbia Harbor House for lunch, and we talked about the New England town that it's represented like old time New England, and that basically there are no bathrooms in the Liberty Square area, because back in the colonial New England area there were no bathrooms. They basically poured their crap out into the streets, and that's what that brown walkway is. It's to represent shit flowing in the streets, because that's what people do. They crap in buckets and do whatever they do, and then they dump it out in the street and flow downhill. Shit runs downhill, and so cool detail. And it's like so many people walk through there and don't even realize they're walking in shit, which I mean, it's fake, obviously, it's concrete, but that's what it's to represent. And then also the bridges, I never even realized it was there. Again, how many times I've been to Magic Kingdom, but when you go from the Adventureland, Frontierland area across a bridge that takes you into colonial times, and then I forgot the name of that bridge, but it's there to span the time periods. It's like you're crossing a bridge, you're bridging a gap in time, and you're going from the frontier into colonial New England times. Very, very cool. So once we were over there, then we had lunch at Columbia Harbor House, which was fantastic. Like I said, I sat down. They basically had your table set up, and then these cards were on your table, and they had all of your everything that you ordered. Lunch was complimentary as part of the tour. I had the fish sandwich, which was really good. It was fish sandwich with fresh coleslaw. Excellent fish. And again, like I said, I'm glad they had fish today, because it's Good Friday, and I really try to stick to that, no meat today. And then they had this Alice in Wonderland cupcake, which I want to take a picture of it, but I forgot to, or video, again forgot to, and next thing I know I devoured it because I was starving. So that was a good cupcake. And again, I got to sit down with our tour guide, and then there was another young lady, like I said, that was with us at our table, and again, she was down here on business, and we were just all chit-chatting. It's just really neat, when you talk to people, and everybody on that tour has a love of the Disney parks. It's just, you can see it. And that was the one thing I liked about our tour guide. Again, I mentioned it earlier, is you can feel her passion for the parks, and everything Disney. Like it's something you can't fake. When you talk about, like when I talk about firefighting and stuff like that, or even when I'm in the parks vlogging, and you can tell when people really enjoy what they do, because you cannot fake that. You know when people are just going through the motions, when they're not interested but trying to be. But then also people that really love what they're doing, or they love what they're covering, or what they're trying to show people. It's amazing. You can see and feel and hear the passion that comes out in their voices. It's awesome. So after that, then we got up, and it was hold on, I gotta pause this and gotta restart it real quick. So then after lunch was over, then we got up, we met. Oh, one thing I want to mention real quick. Cast members, if you're working at the Disney company, do your best, and I get it, there's a lot going on, but please do your best to try to educate yourself of everything that goes on in those parks. Reason I say this is my guide asked me if I wanted to do a favor for the group, and I said absolutely. She goes, do you mind running downstairs and going to Memento Mori, which is the Haunted Mansion gift shop? She goes, just tell them you're on the Keys to the Kingdom tour, and ask if they got a bunch of small bags so everybody can put their cupcakes in there that they didn't eat and want to save them for later. Yeah, no problem. So I went down there and I said, yeah, my name's Matt. I'm with Keys to the Kingdom tour, and I just wondered, you guys have some bags I can take back to the group? And both cast members like, what's Keys to the Kingdom? Like, come on, guys. You should know that. You're working in the Magic Kingdom. I have a name tag on right here that has my name, and it says Keys to the Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, Keys to the Kingdom. And none of them behind the register knew what that was. And I understand what it's like being new somewhere. I was new at Universal, but when I was also new at Universal, I took the time to educate myself on everything that could possibly be going on there at any given day, so I could help a guest in need. So please, if you guys are going to work there, take the time. It's your job. Treat it like a profession, and love what you do, and educate yourself on the park, because there's nothing worse than when you know, you're in a place like that and the cast members go, I don't know what that is. You know, it's not the first time I've heard that either, and I'm not trying not to go on a tangent, but long story short, back before Splash Mountain closed and everybody was trying to ride it, I was standing up by the castle and I literally overheard a group of people ask, can you tell us how to get to Splash Mountain? And they could not, from the castle hub. And I'm thinking, man, I could tell you 7 or 8 different ways to get there from here. So if you're at Magic Kingdom or you're at any of the parks, and it's no excuse either to sit there and say, oh, well, I don't normally work here. No, you have to familiarize yourself with these parks. You know, that's part of your job. There's nothing worse than when you pay a shit ton of money to be there and you need something and the cast member's like, I'm not sure what that is. That's frustrating. Or if you say, the other thing that you can do, they say, I'm not sure what that is, but let me take you to somebody that will know. That's the other side of the coin. You know, but anyway, don't want to go off on a tangent on that. But after lunch, I was able to get a couple bags secured and I took them back up. We got taken care of. First thing right after the Harbor House was we went to the Haunted Mansion. And we got to go through the back entrance of the Haunted Mansion and got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff of that attraction. Oh my gosh. So both of those, Jungle Cruise and Haunted Mansion, were opening day attractions. And oh wow, that was amazing. Like to see how everything works. My favorite room in the Haunted Mansion, which is the giant dining room that you come out on that balcony. They were explaining how the Pepper's ghost effect works. And how that can happen in your own home if you have 2 floors and you have the light coming in at the same time at certain areas. You can actually create that effect in your own home, which is just incredible. But yeah, the Haunted Mansion, we got to ride that, which was really cool. That I have on here, and then once we were done, there was a little bit more of the history and everything of the Haunted Mansion. From there, we went over towards Fantasyland, and that's where things started to get cool. The second half of the tour is really neat because then that's the Utilidors side of the tour. Obviously, they saved the best for last. And I know people would be like, well, what's so exciting about looking at a bunch of tunnels? It's just the fact that you are underneath the Magic Kingdom and you honestly cannot appreciate these things until you've been down there. I thought that you walked through a door and you went down a set of stairs, like one set of stairs and you're in the utility. No, you go down like 2 full floors, like it's down there. And what's crazy is you're not actually downstairs, you're on the first level and the park is built above you, which is what they used all that dirt from digging out Seven Seas Lagoon for. So you are actually on level 1 and everything else is built above you, which is just, it's wild to think about that. When you look at the ceiling and look at the walls, there's all these pipes, there's this giant trash tube that just runs the length of the Utilidors, and apparently there's all these areas where there's trash openings and you put them in there and it's pneumatic and it literally sends the trash from all over the park into one giant compactor. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's a giant, and you see it running along the ceiling. And on the other side is all of the piping, and then you look on the ceiling, and it's all of the electrical, all of the internet, all of the cable. Everything is all neatly organized and all grouped together, and it runs right through the ceiling. Then plus the ductwork, the sprinkler systems. It's air conditioned down there as it should be. And then what's wild is you're walking through the Utilidors, you see these different stairwells, and then you see the signs like, up this way is Tomorrowland, or up this way is Adventureland, or this attraction is right above you, or this attraction's just that way, and how you can maneuver the entire park within minutes down there. And then there's certain areas, because there's golf carts, or they had a certain name for them. They had a brand name, but then they got different golf carts after that company went out of business, but they never changed. I forget what they called them. It began with a P or something like that. But they never stopped calling them that because it just stuck. But there's all these golf carts whizzing around down there, just like it's like a metropolis. That's the best way I could explain it. I mean, there's golf carts going everywhere, and then there's these certain areas that's like this huge intersection. It's kind of near the castle. And you know, and then you see the sign that says, you know, Cinderella's Royal Table this way, and it's the stairway to Cinderella's Royal Table. And there's another one that's the stairway to the suite, you know, Cinderella's suite. And it's just, and downstairs are the whole history of Disney's pin trading. It started in 1996 after the Atlanta Olympics. That's what started pin trading. A couple of the cast members or executives, somebody went to the Olympics and noticed people trading the Olympic pins back and forth. And so they're like, well, we should try that at Disney. So they started the Disney pin trading. That's literally what kicked off pin trading. And so all down the hallways are these showcases of all of the series and all the pins from 1996 to current time. And then there's also all the drawings and the artwork of all of the you know, showcases of all the early animatronics, and you know, some of the hair that they use on the pirates, it's real hair. You know, all the dolls in Small World, you know, all the clothing is homemade, and the hair is yarn, but the clothing's all homemade. We went through one area down there where it's a sewing room, and it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and everybody works in shifts. And these are ladies in there from all around the world, and they're all like seamstresses, but they are like at the top of their profession. I mean, and there was a few of them in there working, because apparently early morning they can't go through there. So one of the tour that I took at 8:30 was a great time, 8:30 and onward, because by the time you get to the Utilidor section, it's into the afternoon, and they allow you to take a tour through there, but there's no talking, nothing. Everybody's got to be real quiet. Even the guy doesn't talk. And as you're walking through there, you see them all working in there. You see them like sewing up something on Cinderella's dress, or you see them working on a costume. Another one was working on Elsa's dress. You know, somebody stitching up, you know, Tigger, and you know, his the Tigger costume. And then along the wall on the other side are all of the dresses and the outfits and the costumes that are being made ready for showtime. And it just, to watch these people work like that was intense. I mean, you talk about masters of their craft. I mean, these people were very, very good at what they did. And then just as for fun, after we left the room, somebody had a head of Clarabelle cow or something like that, and they put it up in the glass so it made it look like Clarabelle was looking out the glass, out the window. So that was pretty neat. And then after that went on the history of and there's all photos to go along with it along the wall, you know, how Roy made Walt's dream a reality after Walt had died, and you know, made Walt Disney World happen. Because honestly, if it hadn't been for Roy, who knows what would have happened. You know, this was this project, the Disney World project, had just started when Walt died. And so Roy, you know, that's why he called it Walt Disney World. And they kept saying, like, a lot of the investors and everybody else kept saying, you know, they wanted it to be called Disney World. And he says, I'm going to tell you one more time, and it's going to stick this way. It's going to be Walt Disney World, end of discussion. He goes, this is my brother's creation, and it's going to come to fruition. You know, so, and you know, Roy saw this whole thing through. And then the Epcot project started, and you know, sadly, what was it, 5 years after Walt Disney World opened, you know, Roy ended up passing. And I personally think it was just from the enormous stress that he undertook, because Roy was supposed to retire. He had just started retirement, or was just going into retirement when Walt passed, and he came out of retirement and got Walt Disney World going. Incredible project. And apparently everybody kept asking him, Roy, you should be at home. You're a grandfather. You need to be at home. You need to be doing this and just, you know, sitting with your feet up. He goes, my brother's project needs to be a reality, and I'm going to do that for him. And so what was really cool too is when we walked around the hub, I'm going to go upstairs back to the hub for a second, is the Walt and Mickey statue are actually pointed with their backs. Their backs are to the castle, and Walt's pointing down Main Street toward the train station. But also on the opposite end where the train station is where Roy is sitting on the bench with Minnie. So it's like Walt's holding Mickey's hand, pointing like that, you know, pointing down Main Street, and he's pointing at Roy. That's the whole symbolism in that, as a, you know, a nod to you know, thank you for making my dream a reality. Oh, the other thing I forgot to show you, but it was just very crowded. I'll show you again when I come back. that Center Street area, there's a reason it's called Center Street. That is the center of Magic Kingdom, but that's also the center of the plot, one of the last plots of land that was purchased for Disney World. Basically, the way they did it is they started buying land from the exterior and they moved inward. Instead of starting on the inside and going out, they started moving in, because, you know, when it came down to that last plot, you know, who wants to own one plot of land with everything else around it? And so they were buying it up, like it was super cheap at the time, you know, it was like $300 or $400 an acre or something like that. Well, I guess the last plot of land where that Center Street is now sits at Magic Kingdom, that plot of land sold for like 80 grand, I think it was, which back in that time, that was huge money. But now you think about Walt Disney World, they said is like what is it, like 300,000 acres or some gigantic number like that. Basically, all the way around Walt Disney World, from border to border, it's 47 square miles. It's larger than the city of San Francisco and twice the size of the island of Manhattan. And there's still over a third of the land that hasn't even been touched yet that they can do stuff with, which is unreal. And also, one of the cool things was, our guide said, if you take all of the everything, the attractions, everything, the attractions, the theme parks, shopping, dining, everything that encompasses Disney World, and were to ram it all together so you could walk to everything, it would only take up about a quarter of the top of the square of what Disney World is, which is just hard to even imagine. Like, that's how much land is out there. So that's why I'm hoping that they use that in the future, because there's so much room to create. Like, it seems crazy to me that they're going to just repurpose attractions and lands when they have room to build all kinds of new things, you know. So anyway, after the utilidors and that, and then the stories, it was very emotional, you know, like that. It's a very emotional tour, especially at the end. We start talking about Walt and Roy, and especially all the Imagineers, the early cast members, the early Imagineers that made all this stuff possible, and, you know, how Walt brought these people into the company. I mean, it's incredible. Definitely going to do this tour more than once, for sure. It is a true gem of an offering that Disney World has. And it also brings back the good feelings of Disney World. I know a lot of us that are passionate about the parks and that aren't real happy with kind of the direction that Disney is going in. You know, it feels like they're losing things a bit. But if you look at the timeline, Disney World has been, or the Disney company in general, the parks have been through an up and down phase. They almost, after Disneyland, you know, prior to Disney World in the 60s, they almost, or no, actually even before that, they almost went bankrupt. You know, they almost lost everything. So it's not like Disney has not seen rough times before, but they've always pulled out of it, you know. So I have no doubt that they're going to come out of this. This is just kind of a crappy phase they're in, where it just feels like nobody, the people that have the ability to change things for the better, don't give a damn. Because when you look at the true design that goes into Disney World and the Disney parks and what they're creating now, it's like now they don't give a damn. But back when they did give a damn, it's like the Crystal Palace, you know, how they have the balconies on one side for Main Street and the ornamentation, but on the other side where Adventureland is, they got all the awnings and it's very rustic looking. It's just like, that's the kind of thing I love. And how there's also yellow lines built on the back lot where you have to, if you're behind them, then you're not on stage, but they're also sight lines. Meaning if you're in front of the yellow line in this area, that means guests can still see you. You have to be on stage. If you're behind this yellow line in a certain area, you can't be seen. You can relax and basically like military or fire department at ease. You know, you can be at ease. You can be, you know, looking at your phone or just kind of chilling out. But if you're on the other side of that yellow line, that means you're in view. You got to be on stage and no ifs, ands, or buts. So that was really cool too. But yeah, after that, then we came up out of the utilidors, and sure enough, we were right there near the front of Main Street USA, and we came out from that backlot area where you walk in when they have the Halloween and Christmas parties and that. We came out in that area, and then we popped out in front of the Main Street Theater, which is, you know, right where we started, and man, absolutely amazing. I didn't want it to end, I really didn't, but I showed it earlier, but this is what we got. I showed it earlier. This is what we got as a gift. This is the official Keys to the Kingdom pin. And the only way to get this is you have to take the tour. I mean, I suppose you could probably buy it on eBay, but I think these things cost a fortune. And I don't know many people that would want to part with this, because the only way you're getting this is if you take the tour. And I showed it earlier, it's hard to focus, but it basically says Disney's Keys to the Kingdom right across there. And it's just a really, really cool souvenir. Something I'll wear this on my uniform forever. You know, I don't want to wear it out because I want to hang on to this, but this is a really, really neat souvenir that they give you. So definitely we're gonna do this again. I want to share it though. I would love to have family. I think Paige would really like this. I would love to. I can't wait to do it again. Definitely gonna do it when it's not as crowded. That was the other thing I wanted to add into it. The crowds made it harder for the guide to kind of get us to places. That was the one thing. You could tell like she wanted to do more, but we couldn't because of the sheer level of crowds. So yeah, I definitely want to try this tour again when it's not a-holes to elbows. And like I said, if you're a Disney fan, if you love the parks, you love everything about the parks, and you want to see what it's like or what makes everything work, there are spoilers, you know. So if you don't want to know how it's done, then, you know, skip it, because you'll learn about everything. Like even down the utilidors, we saw this one area, you know, you got Cinderella's wig sitting there, you know, getting prepared for the parades. And then, oh, that was the other thing, like what goes into do these parades, like it's just unreal. Oh, and then one of the last things that was pointed out was how Tinkerbell does her flight every night, and that is her only job. That is that cast member's only job is to fly. That's it. And it is like it's one of the most sought after jobs, but it's also one of the most extreme on the attention to detail. Basically, there's a lot of people involved in this every day, and then there's also people that constantly monitor the weather. But even if they say, yeah, we're good to go, and Tinkerbell gets up there and she doesn't feel right, she can say, yeah, I'm not flying, and she won't fly. But it's just there's a lot of people that it takes to make that flight happen. And she basically, it's like I think it's like 45 minutes to an hour before the fireworks show, she starts to climb up. And again, it starts in the utilidors or in the castle, but there's a special staircase that goes all the way to the top of the tower. And then there's an area that there's ornamentation up on the top of the castle, but one of it's actually, it looks like an ornament up there, like a decorative ornament, but it's actually a place for her to step off and begin her flight across the crowd. And then she lands on top of, I forget what building it is. It's right near where Monsters Incorporated is. Like you can actually see from backstage. You can't see it while you're in the park. They have it designed beautifully where you can't see where she lands at. But when you're backstage and that, you can see the part where she ends up. And it was also said that if she doesn't make it all the way, she can shut the lights on her costume off, basically put gloves on, and kind of shimmy her way, you know, all the way back to the where it's safe to unhook. Or she can go a little bit of a way, and then they'll throw a rope out, she grab it, and they'll pull her in and then detach her, and then there's a stairway that takes her back down and then again back into the utilidors. So it's just amazing how this whole thing works. Like just fantastic. So again, thank you to Judith. She did a fantastic job. If I do this tour again, I hope I get her, but I'm sure all the other guides are just as good and just as excellent. That's a job I could see myself doing. Like I'm watching this going, man, I would love this job. Because one, you get to talk to people all day, and you get to walk around the theme parks, and you get to tell people about history and things that you're passionate about. That would be an awesome job. The other one would be the Disney VIP tour guides, which are, you know, apparently another one of the most highly sought jobs, because you make big money doing those jobs, you know, because of the tips and everything, because they are so expensive. And if you do it well, you know, a lot of times people will treat you well also. But yeah, fantastic experience. Everybody in our group, I said group of 20, everybody was fun. You know, I got a chance to pretty much chat with everybody, just, you know, in walking and all that, and just everybody started. It's a 5-hour tour, so, you know, you start to get to know each other pretty well, and it's just fun to talk to people, and just an absolutely fantastic experience. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. I've got some things to do. I'm going to start getting this uploaded and edited, and I hope you all enjoy it. Again, I have little bitty clips here and there I didn't want to record a whole lot because, you know, they don't want you recording. Obviously backstage everything be put away, but it's like if I can find a photo online somewhere of the Utilidor maps, I'll put it in and I'll put it in the video. But that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it, because obviously I'm not going to risk getting, one, myself in trouble, two, anybody else in trouble. But I did say, I was talking to this one young lady that was with us, and I'm like, it's so like frustrating because you want to take a photo of this to share with everybody because this is so freaking cool, but you can't. It's like, and everybody else felt the same way, you know, like, oh, I wish I could take pictures to share this with everybody, but they want to protect the magic, which is understandable. So I hope you all enjoy this. Again, I highly recommend it, but don't go into debt to do it. If you have the extra money and you've been going to Disney World, Magic Kingdom especially, for quite a while, and you want to see how everything works, I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Again, I wouldn't do it for a first couple time visitors. You wouldn't. It just, like I said, everything would kind of go over your head. But if you're a long time Disney history buff and you love everything theme parks, take the tour. It is awesome. So I will see you all very soon. Have a fantastic, fantastic rest of your day. You know, if you're off, enjoy the day. Again, it is Good Friday, kind of a solemn day as well. And then we'll see you all again shortly. So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everything. I'll see you all shortly. Main Street Fire Rescue, out of service. I'll see everybody.